So good afternoon, everybody, and you're very welcome here today to this live stream for our business community. My name is Brenda Danaher, and I am the network manager here in Rural Enterprise Skillnet based in the Northwest. And with our own remit around workplace training and development, we too find ourselves in uncharted waters, and look, there is nothing normal about this global pandemic, and we ask all businesses and all our community to follow the guidelines provided by both our government and the HSE, and to ensure that they are strictly followed. Our business community are certainly faced with extraordinary challenges, and with many of our member companies having contacted us over the last week especially with questions around the coronavirus and expressing concerns as to the viability of their business going forward. I'm delighted today to be joined by some of our own trainers and experts in the hope of alleviating, I suppose, some of these concerns. So with me today, I have Chris McDonough. Chris is the managing partner with CMD Group based in Sligo, with his focus on talent management and leadership development. Also with us is Michelle McLaughlin, a practicing solicitor also based in Sligo and Leitrim. She's also a trainer and delivers our employment law and GDPR workshops successfully over the last 2 years. And also to welcome Laura Gallagher. Laura is a Shopify e-commerce expert, and also we are delighted to have Laura on our training panel, delivering training around Facebook marketing, again, primarily here in the Northwest. And also joining us today is Paula Travers, and we're delighted to have Paula talk to us today, and with her 25 years of experience across various industries, and Paula is a chartered accountant. And also I'd like to just mention Camilla and Kieran working hard in the background from Poca Productions in Letterkenny, and I thank you for facilitating this live stream today. So to any business watching, please feel free to ask questions by commenting underneath this stream, and we will do our best to get to your queries. And for now, I would like to start off with Chris, maybe if I could just go over to Chris. So we are doing this live broadcast from our offices, and again, it's a sign of the times that we're in. So Chris, what's the most important advice that you could give to business owners at this time?
Hi Brenda, and hi everybody listening. Thank you for creating this opportunity today. Look, we're everywhere we listen to and talk to people and read stuff, it's all about telling us that we're in uncharted water and unprecedented times and all that. And it's a whole lot of negativity around it, and rightly so to a certain extent. So I'm trying to put, to get people to maybe look at it a little bit more positive and see, you know, where can we get some good out of this? And the first thing I'll always say to business owners when we're in a situation like this, that the most important person right now is them, that they've got to look after themselves. They've got to make sure that their, you know, their mental well-being, all that is all being looked after. And I always use the example of the airplane. When you're on an airplane flight and you're getting the safety demonstration, they will always tell you to put your own mask on first. The reason for that is that you're no good to anybody else if you haven't secured yourself first and looked after yourself. And that's really, really important at this moment in time, because we are under pressure. We're all business owners. We are under pressure, and this is the time that we've got to show leadership. We've got to show that we're in control, no matter how bad things are. That, you know, that our staff, or the people that's dependent on us, can look to us for a bit of guidance. I suppose in this situation, there's two different situations. Right now, your business is either closed. If you're a pub, you're a restaurant, you're a non-essential shop, or like that, your business has closed. And that's the worst possible scenario. But if that has happened, you know, it's not the end of the world. This is going to be over. We are going to get the end of this. And what are you going to do between now and then? We've all said you know, every day we're in business, we're so busy, we can't think of this, or we don't have time to do this, we don't have time to do that. Now is the time to look at your business, take stock. What would you do different? What's, you know, do a health check. What's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not. You have all that time now. We'll go into that in a bit more detail later. The second situation is that you're still trading. You are an essential service. And really your priority at this stage is to look at, you know, what are you going to do, you know, to make sure you're following HSE guidelines, you're doing everything right. How are you going to ensure that your staff are safe and healthy and able to come to work and stuff like that? So it's a whole load of things that you have got to do, and we can go into that in more detail. But the main thing, regardless which situation you're in, is the communicating. Communicate with your staff. If you're closed, keep communicating with them. Set up a webinar, or not a webinar, a WhatsApp, or, you know, talk to them, physically talk to them every day. Let them know. And certainly if you're closed and you're looking at doing a health check in your business, use your staff to talk to them. Get their ideas. We're really lucky in one sense that, and some of the other experts will talk about this today, but the government announced a great package yesterday evening to keep people on your books, you know, 70% of salaries and stuff like that. Use your, you know, there's no reason for you not to keep them on your books, so you can talk to them, get their ideas, look at what can be done. See this whole thing, forget about the negative side of it, look at the positive side. What can we do different? What can we, you know, can we really work at? And the last piece that we need to keep doing, and it's funny, I have a nephew that owns a gym in Westport, and the other day he was closing the gym, but he told me one thing that was vital important, and that was that to keep marketing. And that is so, so important. Keep marketing. Your customers have to know you still exist. It is so, so important. Don't bombard them with non-important stuff, but let them know that you're still there. Let them know that you're trying to help, and let them know that you will be back. They're the key things, Brenda, I think, at this stage. You know, there's a lot there we can tease out later on if the questions comes in, but right now it's all about staying positive in extremely difficult circumstances, and your own mental well-being, really, you know, showing a bit of leadership to your team and communicating well. Over to you, Brenda.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Yeah, a lot of good positivity there. And just based on your comment there around the supports that are out there, I might just go to Paula now. Paula, you have been keeping us very much up to date lately on all the developments, and it's evolving all the time. But you might just kind of give us an update on where businesses stand now, what information and supports have been released lately.
Hi, Brenda. First of all, I'd just like to thank you for facilitating this. I think it's much needed. And I really do want to reiterate everything Chris has said. I think leadership at this time is vital. I put out a post, I think day one of this, it's hard to remember when day one was at this stage, and I had 3 messages for people. The first one was communicate. And I will answer your specific question, but when I say communicate with your staff, communicate with your customers, with your suppliers, with your bank, with your accountant, with the county council, with every government agency. Do not bury your head in the sand. I think the government has gone above and beyond in reacting to this emergency. What they have been able to achieve within the past 2 weeks could not, in ordinary circumstances, be achieved in 2 years probably. So that is my first message to people: communicate, communicate, communicate. Educate yourself, make yourself aware of what is available. Practical positivity is my message to people. It's not positivity for the sake of pretending everything's okay, but it's doing something practical. Use your energy in a positive way and find out. And it's not all doom and gloom. And at the end of the day, I suppose the primary concern for everybody is their health. So as far as I'm concerned, if they're healthy and if the people they love are healthy, everything else can be dealt with. The second message I would give to people is cash flow. It's all about cash flow. There's an old cliche, cash is king. Well, nothing was more true than nowadays. So this is where I encourage everybody, your accountant should be your primary business advisor. Please speak to them. That's what they're there for. Forget about profit right now. It's all about cash. You need to establish where you are in terms of your cash flow right now, and look at a worst case scenario. And even having those facts should give you some comfort, some reassurance, instead of wondering. The third thing I would say, and I'm sure Laura will touch on this, is innovate. Necessity is the mother of invention. What I have seen in the past 10 days in terms of innovation, Chris spoke about a gym. There's a gym locally here, and they've gone online, and they are putting fitness classes out to everybody every morning now. And I'd say if they had planned to do that, it might have taken 6 months, or it wouldn't have happened. So there is opportunity. I'm not being flippant, but there is opportunity here to switch your thinking about your business. It's the old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Every business should have some presence online. And if ever there was a time that it was proven, it is now. You should have an income stream that can be online. So no matter what it is you do, and as Chris has said, do not hide, keep marketing. Hairdressers, for example, nobody can get their hair done nowadays. Every hairdresser in the country can go online and show people how to maintain their hair. The same with people that do your nails, etc., etc. You know, think outside the box, to use another cliche, but you know, it is an opportunity to reinvent your business and to come out stronger the other end. And I will say that the people who are visible now, the people who are helping people now, people will remember that. So don't hide away, stay present, show up for your customers, and it's all good. It's all good stuff. Put out good stuff and good will come back. So on the practical end of things, as Chris has said, there was a massive announcement yesterday. So the employment payment for the pandemic last week was announced at €203 per worker per week. Now that has been increased to €350. And the big message from government yesterday was that they want employees to maintain their connection with their employers. They had a scheme set up last week that has now been replaced by a new wage subsidy scheme. I've been on to the helpline this morning, and obviously they're being completely inundated because I need to clarify a few things around the mechanics of this, as in if somebody has already applied for the emergency payment themselves, how do they get back onto their employer's books? So I will have further information on that. But the bottom line, the message that came out yesterday is the government doesn't want to see anybody without money. It's in everybody's interest to keep money moving, to keep spending in the economy. This is temporary. It is not going to last forever. People need to still keep buying to keep business going. And as long as there is a connection between employers and employees, when things come back into place, it's easier for things to get going once again. So, you know, I've never seen so many changes in such a short space of time, and they don't have all the answers, but they've made a damn good step in the right direction. So really, I will have further details on the nitty gritty of this. I would say primarily speak to your accountant, speak to the person that does your payroll. The payroll providers, the payroll software providers will all be on top of this, will all be up to date with this. So that's the first practical thing every employer should do is you know, get your employees back on your books if you've had to let them go. But a few particular questions I've had about the unemployment payment, specifically in relation to self-employed people who tend maybe not to be eligible for payments. This is available to all self-employed people who have essentially lost their job, lost their income as a result of COVID-19. So if you haven't already done so, you must apply. Obviously, you don't have an employer to go through, so you must apply directly yourself. And they've made it easier this week. They have, you can now apply online, and they've simplified the process for that. And from this point on, they have said that people will get paid every Tuesday directly into their bank account. payment of €350, quote unquote, for the duration of the crisis. So, you know, they're really trying to give people a little bit of reassurance, and I'm sure there is more to come. There are other measures available then in the more medium term for businesses to access lending. I'll not go into that with too much detail now, Brenda, but I suppose that's to answer your initial question. Back to you.
That's great, Paula. Thanks very much. We have some questions coming in there along those lines, so we will come back to you in just a few minutes. And you know, so we're seeing that it's important that we keep our business out there, that we our doors may be closed, but our businesses are open. So if I could go to Laura here now. Laura, what advice would you have for businesses that, you know, they do keep their presence out there, and even if it is online, that, you know, we remind people that we are still open for business?
Hi, Brenda. Thanks for inviting me to take part in this live stream today. And yeah, I agree with what Chris and Paula have said. Don't bury your head in the sand and think that your business is closed. Now is definitely the time to get your presence online, reinvent your business. There is loads and loads of ways that you can do it to keep marketing yourself through Facebook, even YouTube, ways that and now is the time to do it. I'm 5 years online building websites, helping businesses all over the world market their products and sell them all over the world. And I'd hear people saying, oh, I haven't got time to get on online, and they didn't bother. But now we're getting inundated with people like begging to get online now. And I say to them, like, don't try and get online now, just trying to make a quick buck. You need to plan for the future now. Do it properly. Take the time to learn, get your store, get your website up and going, and follow the proper steps if it takes a couple of weeks. Last week I did a video and I offered 15 minutes of a free phone call to anyone who was concerned about getting online, myself and a couple of others. And we had 4 people get online last week. So, like, again, that opportunity is still there. You can send an email to me, support@beonline.ie, and I can schedule your free 15-minute call to help you, because I'm not going to have time now to tell you exactly how to get your business online. There's so many different businesses out there. But I did like what Paula was saying there, and I was saying it to Brenda yesterday about the hairdressers. I just think, like, of course we can't get our hair done. And but I said, if I had a salon, what would I do? I would be in there and I'd be showing people how to maintain some type of a hairstyle through this pandemic. And lo and behold, 5 minutes later, I was on Facebook and I see a beautiful hair salon in Dublin called Zebra Hairdressing, and she's showing people how to do this amazing curly blow dry. Never heard of it in my life. It looked amazing. It looked so easy. I did try it this morning. It didn't work out. But again, she'll probably be in there every day. And by the time this is over, she will be so comfortable live on Facebook all the time. It'll become a part of her job. It'll be a new way of her advertising, that you can go online, because I do see people, they're there and they're afraid to put themselves online because they think that people are going to laugh at them and talk about them. But now you have to get your business online. So now is the time to go and or even invest in yourself. Take up some training. Do it slowly and get your business online. Open your e-commerce store. Even if you're a beauty salon, maybe you could, like, be in a salon and show people how to do body scrubs. Make the body scrubs. I don't know, like, if you can go into the chemist and buy the little travel packs, and even sell the little body scrubs, and you can have little home spas. And again, you'd have to go through and make sure they're all like the HSE guidelines of selling those type of products. But I'm sure, like, if you research, there must be a way that you can go and do that. But like, businesses now, like, definitely as well, like, you have to build like an email list. Even if you have a service that you can't physically, like, make money from now, you can still advertise on Facebook. You can make and build your email list. And with e-commerce and online, like they say, the money's in the list. So if you had a business for 20 years now, I know businesses that are in business even 25 years, they've never collected an email. An email, like, if you had an email list now, you could be emailing your list and you're going to tell them, like, how you're dealing with this crisis, what you're going to do to keep your customers engaging, what you're going to do to reinvent your business, and how you're going to, when you come back, all the things that you're going to do when you get back, because your businesses will get back. But if you go and hide now and just forget about it and just feel like totally depressed. I'm sure a lot of people are, and just don't want to face the world, thinking that this whole thing has just crashed. Your cash flow is gone, everything is gone. That if you had an email list, you could be emailing them, get yourself out there. But I'm sure there's loads of clothing stores out there as well, because they're like highly like non-essentials, people not buying clothes. But again, I would be in my store, I'd be getting my online store going, I would be modeling the clothes throughout the day. Again, if the people buy, I know lots of companies who are already online, they're doing 50% discounts literally to get the cash flow going. Because by the time we come out, they're probably spring, summer stock, we're probably going into the winter stock, so they need to get rid of it. So again, people, and I know one lady who's doing that at the minute, and she kind of feels like that. Actually, she did it on video, and she was selling, she was doing some live feeds, and she did it all the time, but she continued to do it, and she got slashed, saying that people were actually giving out to her, saying that people are not wanting to buy clothes. But she said, I still have to keep my business open, I've got my bills to be paid, the suppliers need to get paid for stock that we've bought. So again, if I had a clothes shop, a warehouse full of clothes, or anything that's non-essentials, I still would be going live on Facebook. I would be trying to keep myself marketing through Facebook every day. You don't have to be very pushy with sales. You can give them tips and strategies and different stuff, and let them know that your business is still there, and it'll be back even better when this is all over. You know?
That's great, Paula, or Laura, that's great.
Yeah, back to you, Brenda.
We're going to come back to you now. We have a few questions coming in as well. And I suppose, yeah, our businesses are open, and there are people turning to online where they never did, no more than ourselves here today. So Michelle, if I could go to you on that, I suppose on the back of the advice that Laura's given us there, that, you know, get your business online if you're not already, there's options there for you. There's a legal side to everything as well. So if I could ask you to come in there and just kind of give advice around the legalities for businesses in this during this crisis.
Yes, thank you, Brenda, and thank you to all of you for the invitation to talk today. Absolutely, I would reiterate everything that has been said already about the importance of communication and innovation. But yes, to definitely remember that there are legal issues involved in all of this. For those who have never sold online already, if you're selling to consumers, all of the consumer protection law will still apply. And a really good free resource that I'd recommend people go to is www.ccpc.ie, which has an actual really useful guide for businesses on when selling online, what's the minimum information that they have on their website. And probably a key area for businesses, if they've never sold online before, is the fact that consumers have a 14-day cooling off period in which they have a right to give you back the goods if they change their mind. And it's just to build all of the procedures in place to have the cancellation order procedures quite clear for customers and help them out as best you can. Also, a lot of businesses now are selling vouchers online, which is another great way, hopefully will help with cash flow and keep the business alive for planning for the future. And again, to remember that the new gift voucher rules came in before Christmas, and that now they have to have a minimum of at least 5-year duration. So hopefully when businesses are up and running again, or some are still open, that those facilities are available for them. So again, there are very good free resources available, and also lots of training about selling online. So then to move on probably to maybe a key issue at the moment for a lot of businesses is the legals around, you know, the current climate. Again, as reiterated by everybody else, communication is absolutely key with your staff, with your customers, with your suppliers, definitely with your bank if you're dealing with financial situation. And I think also another key one at the moment is your IT support, particularly now when a lot of people are having to work remotely. And in a minute I'll touch upon the GDPR rules around that as well. Also, another area that I know a lot of people have questions around is the area of insurance, getting in touch with your insurance broker to check to see whether you are or not covered, and what's the situation with the temporary close down of your business. And also your ongoing contracts. Can they be suspended? Can you rely on force majeure clauses? And also, I think to reiterate, as the others have said, is to keep in touch with the customers, to let them know we're all in the same boat at the moment, that we all know we are planning on getting back up again. And I think, in particularly for our staff, that's really important. They need to know, and that's where I think back to Chris's point where we're showing leadership, they need to know we have a plan in place, that this is only temporary, and we are planning for the future. And that will be different for different businesses. So at the moment, some of those in the critical area, like the retailers, they're actually hiring at the moment because they're completely, overwhelmed with the amount of work. So for employers in that situation who are hiring, again, just to remind you, employment law rules continue to apply. So again, there's minimum information you have to give to employees within 5 days of joining. You still have to give them their contracts of employment. And I suppose another thing that's possibly maybe a little bit been overlooked because everybody is so busy at the moment is the importance of their induction training, and in particular here, health and safety training. For every business, I think, hopefully most have done it at this stage, but in case they haven't, risk assessment for health and safety purposes, absolutely key. And again, it's probably something that businesses probably need to review on a daily basis because things are changing all of the time, to ensure that they are complying with all the HSE rules, and that is communicated to staff, and staff are reassured that the business is doing the best it can. Or again, as we know, overnight, a number of more businesses now have closed down. So the key thing there is communicate with your staff, let them know the decision that you are making. And again, for some businesses, unfortunately, it is layoff, because again, as the other speakers have said, cash is king. Some employers may be able to afford to pay them, others unfortunately are not. And then they've got to come up with their plan. Are they able to offer them short-term working? Are they going to unfortunately have to temporarily lay them off? Or is remote working an option? And for how long is that an option? What I would suggest to all employers is that they put in place what I'd probably call a COVID policy, which is pulling together and reviewing all of their existing policies that probably are relevant right now, which one is the risk assessment and the adjustments to the safety statement that they need to do in light of current climate, and in particular to cover off remote working if they're now moved into this new world of remote working. I think the other policy, just to remind staff of, is illness. How do you communicate illness if you are feeling ill? The other one is absence policies, and what leave procedures are or are not being offered at the moment. Is annual leave being changed, or their hours of work being changed? And the key of communicating that and having the policies available to employees. Are they now available online? How do they get access to them if they're not physically in the office? In relation to remote working, I think the IT support is really important there, and staff training. And of course, part of that would also be the GDPR obligations, because again, how do you get that right to ensure that there are no data breaches? And also you've got to watch out for cyber security. And I think Laura will probably be able to talk more of how do you take secure payments online. But I think really, really important to remind individuals, because we're now gone to pretty much an online world, is particularly regarding payments. The cyber criminals unfortunately are out there, are watching, so making sure that everybody is using the most up-to-date antivirus, that they have all the patches and all the security requirements in place that they would have if they were in the office, that they still have those available to them. So I suppose just coming to the end and all of that, really important that you're communicating with your staff what policies and procedures are there. Even if staff have been temporarily laid off or on short term, keep in touch with them. They are still your staff. This is only a temporary situation, that we're all in this together. And as Chris had said at the start, how are we planning for the future? How are we going to keep cash flow coming in at the meantime? Maybe we don't need everybody, but we're able to keep tipping it along. Or maybe it is an actual temporary shutdown that does have consequences for everybody. So no doubt there may be some questions coming in that I'm happy to take, but at the moment I'm happy to hand back to you, Brenda.
That's great, Michelle. Thank you very much. And I suppose, going by that, Michelle, what we're saying to employers is, employment law still stands. We still have to do right by our contracts and policies, and to be mindful of that. What you're saying is there's no wavering on that. Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Great, brilliant. So just coming back, Paula, there's a question here coming in, a couple of questions coming in. So Paula, I'm going to pop back to you. Over the last couple of days, we had a few queries in from our local businesses here around the payment of rates. And what we're saying is that you put up a post there last week around rates, but it's not very publicly known what the situation is for businesses, and they are concerned around payments due now in the next couple of weeks around rates. Could you give us a little bit of information around that, Paula?
Sure. And just to let the cat out of the bag, it's no big secret. The only website anybody should go to for information is gov.ie. There's an awful lot of information there now, so it's a little bit overwhelming, but that's the Bible, that's the primary source of any information that I put out there. So what has happened is they have deferred commercial rates for 3 months. So I know, and the advice that was given was to contact your council immediately and discuss that with them. So I think there was people complaining online that this wasn't sufficient, but my attitude to all this is it's a step in the right direction, and with everything as has been proven in the past 2 weeks, what was in place last week has been improved upon this week. So it's not to say that further actions won't be taken or further to alleviate the situation or to alleviate the financial burden on businesses. It's not to say that won't come, but obviously they had to put something out to deal with the immediate situation. So for now, there is a deferment of commercial rates, and my advice is for businesses to contact the County Council immediately to discuss that with them. Back to you, Brenda.
That's great. Thank you, Paula. We're hearing that coming through everybody. Communication, get in touch with the relevant authorities and get your information. As with any situation, communication is key. So let's make sure we do that. And so, Chris, I'm just going to come back to you there. Like, I know we offer training through the network here around management development, and you know, from everything from one-day supervisory training to developing as managers, leadership and management. And I suppose we're seeing across many sectors at the moment where, you know, people are stepping up and they're taking on responsibility that maybe previous to this they hadn't done. What advice can you offer those who find themselves in that position, you know, of taking on additional responsibility and trying to get their business through this next few weeks?
Yeah, definitely, Brenda, there's no question about it. If they're still open, it's tough times, and you know, there's never as much demand on the managers, be the junior managers, be the supervisors, or whatever level they're at. And it's now they have to step up to the mark and show that leadership. And you're right. Over the last 2 years, in CMD, we have developed and run quite a number of intensive management programs for senior managers, for middle managers, and right down to at supervisory level. And you know, it's all about it's really all about you know, people taking that responsibility, knowing that they're well able to do it. And I suppose a lot of it is having the confidence to make decisions. And at this moment in time, that's exactly what has to be done. Tough decisions has to be made. So it's vital important. And I know there's no courses running at the moment, as in classroom courses. And we're very much of the view that the management, the style and management programs that we deliver, as you know, we have developed them with yourself, Brenda, are very much classroom based, because they're based a lot on case studies and group work and stuff like that. But there's a huge amount that can be done at the moment. And we'd be delighted to talk to any business that has managers or people that they want to step into that management role now. You know, we'd be delighted to talk to them and give them some guidance and some help, and indeed give them some manuals and some online stuff that they could do between, you know, now while they're on the downturn. And again, this is a great opportunity for upskilling, whether you're at home or sitting at home, you know, because you've been laid off, or you're, you know, temporary or whatever, or even if you're at work, there's a huge opportunity to do a bit of online learning. So yeah, the management side of it is vital important, especially if you're trading now. You have to be protecting your staff, so you have to do different shifts, and where there's a changeover, so you need more people in charge, more supervisors. So yeah, it's the owners, the managers should be encouraging these people to step up to the mark, huge opportunity. I know there's a huge amount of negativity out there, and I know there's a lot of responsibility from listening to Michelle, and that there's still huge legal responsibilities that we cannot, no matter how bad things are, we cannot ignore. But at the same time, there's one point I would love to make to business owners. You started this, you had the courage, you had the enthusiasm, you had the energy, you had that get up and go to start the business. Where, you know, get that drive back into you. Now this is tougher times, but that resolve that you had back then, you can have it now, and you'll get through this. And, you know, we're all here. I think every one of us here on the panel are available if people want to contact us, you know, to give help and guidance. And it's not, you know, it's not all, you know, I have no problem talking to people and, you know, giving them a bit of help if that's what's needed. And because, you know, this will come to an end. There's no question about that. The only question is when. But huge opportunity for us to, you know, to do a bit of sort of upskilling ourselves and believing in ourselves. Because I do believe that we have great ability. It's just to believe in ourselves and have that confidence. Okay, Brenda?
That's great, Chris. So yeah, so, you know, focus on what we can control today and going into the future, and yeah, like we were all saying, we will come out the other side of this. So thank you for that. So there's a few people just texting privately there about coming in, and we will be this is recorded and we will be posting this afterwards. So those of you who may have missed the beginning, you can go back on that. And Laura, I just wanted to come back to you there, just because we've mentioned remote working, and we all know that's what most of us are doing now. We're working from home possibly for the first time, and for some people it's something that's easy to slide into, for others it's not. And you've been working remotely yourself, but I also know from conversations with you before, not only are you working remotely, but you do have a base in the GTech there in Gweedore, where you like to go into an office. So can you maybe talk to people around remote working and, you know, looking at giving themselves options going into a hub or that type of thing? What are you doing now since this all kicked in?
Hi Brenda. Yes, I've been very lucky. I'm down in the GTech this last hitting on 6 years in July. I found working at home was great, but I was never being very productive, even though some days now I still have to work from home. But as much as I can, I'm going down to the office. They have shut the kitchens down, but there is plenty of opportunities from hubs all over Ireland, I'm sure. They probably spaced out the desks, and they're taking the HSE guidelines for making it possible for people and hiring out the desks. I'm sure there's probably like little to no rates have been offered to help people get their work done remotely. I know the hub in the GTech, there's 20 desks inside there. They're spaced out now. Again, if you wanted to contact Udris Nagiltak or the GTech on Facebook to see like what availability they have, they're renovating the 3rd floor. So if this happened next year, there'll be loads of space for people to work from home in the offices that they're providing down there. But I know loads of other places, the CoLab, the base. I mean, if you contacted all those type of places to see, like, if you can't work from home, but you have an opportunity to work from home, but you need to get into an office environment, they're there. People are still keeping to themselves. They're not mixing with others like we used to before. Yeah. So you can just go in, do your work, close your door, do your work, and leave again. We bring in our own tea, coffee, sugar, milk, all that, and we have to bring in ourselves. So a little camp corner that you have to eat, and you just don't leave the room. And again, out, we don't mix with anyone else. So it's great. People are down there, we're not talking much.
Brilliant. And Laura, just to go back, so not every business may have a website, and of course it's something that they may look into now. And we're getting a couple of comments from website developers and that type of thing. But what advice would you give to a business that maybe doesn't have a website, but you know, potentially for selling vouchers, or again, just keeping their presence out there using other platforms?
Yeah, well, I love Shopify because it's very user friendly, and once you learn how to use it, you will absolutely love it. It's really easy to navigate around it. It's not complicated to get online. So if anybody wanted to get online, if you wanted my help to get them online, I can get them online pretty quick. We can offer training to show them how to go about doing it. The gift vouchers, if they can offer gift vouchers with Shopify. It's already integrated on there. So it's already, you can just create gift vouchers on there. Or if you don't have a website and you're just wanting to put something up on Facebook again, but you can't take any payment from Facebook, whereas with Shopify, all the payments are done through Shopify payments, through PayPal, all legally done through there. And I think it's better like that. If you have vouchers you want to sell, get a little online store going for yourself. To do it properly, you want to track all your customers that are coming in as well. And you can go back and you can re-engage with them again at a later date. And you can keep them updated with your business as it changes and gets better.
That's great. Laura, thank you very much. We have a question here, and possibly maybe Paula might be able to take this one on. Where staff have already applied for and received the emergency payment, should we now get them back on our payroll? It's a small business with staff working 3 to 4 days, so the wages would not usually be over the 350. So Paula, I'll come to you on that in just a second. And just in the talking about shared spaces, the base in Stranraer also are open for remote workers. So to contact the base in Stranraer in relation to potentially working from there and using their facilities. It's a fantastic facility, and to contact Leah there at the base. So Paula, just in relation to that question there that came in, can you maybe take that?
Sure, Brenda, of course. And that is actually the specific question that I went to ring the helpline on this morning, because that is going to be a common occurrence where people, I encouraged people last week to go apply for this payment ASAP. So now there is a transitionary period. And when we're finished here, I'm going to go back on and get the finer details of that. So I suppose for any questions that I do have to follow up on, what I've done on my website is I'm going to create a space, a hub for all this information. And because obviously it's constantly updating, so I find myself posting here, there and everywhere. So I decided to create one space for all this. So you know, my website address will be is traversaccounting.ie. So anybody that wants to subscribe to be kept up to date, they can just provide their email address and I can keep them up to date. So that definitely is top of my list of items to follow up on after this. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get through this morning. Thanks, Brenda. Back to you.
Thanks, Paula, and we do appreciate it. It's going to be really hard for us to touch on everything, but we're just trying to do our best to address some of the concerns that our business community is having, and we are definitely going to repost this. And any questions that you have following on from today, just send them on to me or directly to any of our panel, and they have all agreed to come back to you on that. So Michelle, if I could just come back to you there now. So we know there's some free supports online, and there are different agencies posting different resources and videos to assist businesses. And somebody's just asked the question there about the enterprise vouchers. So yeah, look, like we're saying, communicate, contact the different agencies. So we're all open for business, be it online or be it by phone. So please contact them. But Michelle, just to come back to you there in relation to, I suppose, concerns that businesses have, again, around their employment law and, the keeping employees on the books or off the books, they're laying off. They're wondering, we're saying there's no waiver on the employment law situation, but this is going to go on longer than anticipated. Some are working from home, some that doesn't suit. What advice would you have to employers around that?
Okay, yeah, I'll touch on a few free resources as well, so just remind me to go through a few. What I would say to employers is to be proactive. There may be some really tough decisions that they have to make, and not to be afraid to make them. Definitely communication with staff is key, because again, we now are out until the 19th of April. I think the first date was the 29th of March. And staff, I think, like to know where they stand. Ideally, if we can get them back on the books and staff and employers can afford them. That's why I think the comment of Paula that, look, cash flow is very important here. They are your staff. We're all in this together. We most likely, if we are reopening or continuing again, we will want them back. So it would very much, as Chris has said at the start, make your plan, communicate it to staff, ask for their feedback, contribute, let them know the plan is to reopen if that is the plan at the moment. Unfortunately, some businesses are sort of, I think at the moment, afraid that they may not be able to reopen, particularly if utilities and other expenses keep clocking up. But again, at the moment, things are changing so rapidly, we're not quite clear on what may or may not happen, as in the government have been out talking to some of the industries, have done something on commercial rates. Who knows what will be the next announcement. But employers, absolutely, yes, they have absolutely their employment law obligations. None of those are being waived. Again, if decisions are being made to lay off or to make people redundant, remember it's always the role or the position that's been made redundant, never the individual. So everything has to be documented, everything to be objective and justified, and all proper procedures, unfortunately, still have to be followed. Yes, we are in emergency situations. Some procedures, some employers may wish to be waived, but the key thing here is communication with staff, keeping them comfortable, keeping them informed of what's happening, and showing leadership. In relation to some of the free resources, the key one there for what's happening at the moment is the government information website, so gov.ie. Really important that that's where employers are getting their information from and what's available, not anywhere else. On supports wise, there's very good information on the Enterprise Ireland website. Also, all the local Leo offices might have support. So again, for getting online, are those vouchers available? So I would say definitely make contact with your Leo. They may also have support available for mentoring if it's available to them. Welfare.ie, again, another key resource for individuals who may be looking for welfare. Another resource, particularly I think focused on the tourism industry, is the Fáilte Ireland website, and has a number of videos there, in particular communication, particularly on the employment law side. And again, dataprotection.ie have got very good information for protecting personal information when you're working remotely. And they also have guidance on data security that I'd recommend people have a look at. And then for those selling online, again, the other free resource that I mentioned earlier, the ccpc.ie website. And as said by everyone else on here as well, we're all here to help and support. All of us are in this situation together, and we're all happy to help out and support colleagues. And I suppose another thing that I would want to say here is really important that we support one another, we mind each other. Mental health is really important for all of us as well as all of our staff. And as Chris said, we don't know when this is going to end, but it will end, and we will all get up, get running again. Back to you, Brenda. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's great. And I suppose I'm just mindful of the fact that the majority of our companies that we engage with are, you know, sole traders, micro businesses. So, you know, we want to make sure that they, you know, look at all the resources that are available and the information that's out there. And like you've all reiterated, you know, go to the proper channels and, you know, only take information and advice from the HSE and, like you said, gov.ie, and certainly any information that any of our companies need, just get in touch with me and I would certainly endeavour to put you in the right direction. So I see there's quite a few watching, and that's great. So I would remind people that, you know, we are open to taking questions, but I'm mindful of the time now. And so I suppose just if I could go to each one of you now, and I'll start with Chris again, as I started with him at the start. Can I ask each of you maybe to give your top tips for businesses going forward? So mindful that we have to focus on what we can control, but what would be your top tips for business? And Chris, we'll go to you.
Okay, Brenda, thanks again. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm coming in there. Okay, so I think I'm not on screen, but I presume I'm still coming in. Okay, so basically the top tips I would be saying, the most important thing, and I think it has come right through each of the speakers here today, is to stay positive. we are in uncharted water. We are in very uncertain times, but we've got to stay positive. We've got to honestly and truly believe that this is going to end sooner than later, hopefully, and that we can, get back up. Use this time wisely. Use it wisely to do a health check on your business. Use your staff, use that expertise and the knowledge of your team. You're not on your own. If you have people employed, then use their expertise to try and look at your business, look at where you can take it in the future, look at all the things you'd love to change about it to improve and stuff like that. These are very, very important things. And the one thing that I would love to say to people, we're all in business. We all depend on everybody paying their bills. And this is vital important. If you can afford to pay your bills, pay as many of them as you can, because that's what keeps the money circulating. If I owe you money, I can't pay you unless somebody else pays me. So, I know that we are in definitely in uncertain times, and this money is not coming in as quick as it should. But if you are in that position that you can, pay a little bit to everybody, keep it circulating, and we'll help each other. Michelle said that it's so important that we look out for each other and look after each other. This is one way we can definitely do it. So, I know that money is tight, but there are a lot of supports being put. In fairness to the government, that is one thing they're doing. They are coming out, and every day, there's something new coming out. So the supports out there. Use the expertise available to you to get knowledge of all that and to do it. The final thing that I would say is, we're all here to help each other. If anybody wants, it's impossible to answer all these questions online. It's impossible to do it in a short 1 hour, webinar. But if people do want a bit of help or guidance on, what they want, how to do a health check on the business, how to do a bit of planning, just email me, chris@cmd.ie, or if they contact you, Brenda, you'll get them in touch with me. And, I'd be delighted to offer a bit of free help to people to get them, to focus them on where they're going. And we'll all come out of this at the end of it. And I honestly believe we'll be different at the end of it. And I honestly believe that if that together we can make this work, and we will be stronger at the better. But stay positive. Your mental health is so important. Get out in the fresh air. No more than 3, remember. Or is it 4? And it changes regularly. But get out, go for the walk in the woods, bring the dog with you or whatever, and get the fresh air into you, and then do a little bit of work. But hang in there, and we're here to support and help. We're only an email away, a phone call away at the worst of times. Over to you, Brenda.
That's great, Chris. Thanks very much. Yeah, so it's important to take a step back, have a look at your business, see what you can proactively be doing, stay productive. And I suppose today is important, but also tomorrow and the future. So let's mind ourselves and our businesses. That's great. And so Paula, if I can come to you now with some top tips for the businesses watching us here today in relation to their finances and so on.
Of course, Brenda, and I absolutely reiterate everything Chris has said. Definitely all of that stuff. If all of that stuff isn't in place, your mental health and all that, and looking after yourself, then nothing else will be. It's the analogy of the putting on your own mask on the flight first. So that, but I am the accountant among the group, so I'm going to give you some practical advice. And I'm repeating what I said at the beginning is, number 1, speak to your accountant. Please speak to your accountant. Cash flow is today the one thing that you can do that is incredibly practical is look at your cash flow. I am going to provide a very simple template on my website that anybody can use, and I'll put a little bit of guidance on how to use it. And it's very simple. It's starting with what your cash is now, your expected incomings, like a very realistic guesstimate of what that is, like a worst case scenario, your expected outgoings, and that's assuming that you've spoken to everybody that you can possibly speak to. I'm talking about speaking to your bank about taking advantage of loan repayment holidays, etc., 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 to find out how much cash you have to play with, and that will give you a level of certainty. I suppose I work primarily, almost exclusively online myself. I use a cloud accounting software, and suppose my clients, their accounts are up to date by virtue of using that type of software, type of technology. So in the longer term, I would encourage every business to go there, because you just have better access to your records. At a time like this, you don't want to be scrambling to your account and trying to get your accounts up to date, because it just takes too much time. So I suppose that's more in the medium to longer term. But again, to reiterate what Chris has said, I'm very happy to speak to anybody that might need some guidance. But cash, cash, cash. Just look at where your cash is and speak to everybody in your circle, your customers, your suppliers. Yes, pay who you can, talk to your customers, see what money you can get in. But you know, it's dealing with the practical element of it, and I suppose stay as up to date with your obligations if you're an employer. As I said, I will continue to put as much information out there as I can, but stay informed and don't listen to the noise that you don't need to listen to. I've literally just focused on the business side of this for the past 10 days, and it's been great to be able to be of help to people. So that's kind of my tips in a roundabout way, Brenda.
Thanks very much, Paula. Great advice there. Yeah, so look at, please take all this on board. And there are some businesses, I'm sure, watching this saying, but my doors are closed and I don't have cash flow coming in, you know, but there are still productive engagement you could have. And so on that note, Laura, what advice would you have for businesses that to keep their business out there viable? You know, people will still support. We're seeing great community support here for businesses that have their doors closed. So Laura, if you could just give a few tips there on what businesses could be doing.
Hi Brenda. Yeah, like if your doors are closed and your stock room and your shop is full of stock, don't just close the door and forget about it. I definitely would keep up your brand awareness. I would definitely try and get online. It's not complicated. It can be done literally within a couple of weeks, and you can get a marketing plan. If you have a product or a service and you don't know how to reinvent it, reach out and do a brainstorming session with you. You can contact me through my website, beonline.ie, and I can do a little 15-minute brainstorming session. And sometimes like two minds is better than one. Some people just don't know how to think outside the box, or they're just so nervous, or they're freaking out and what to do in all of this. But again, and then plan for the future. Change your business now, get it online, and make it better, so that whatever you didn't do before and you always wish you did do it, now is the time to do it. And every business, as we can see now, every business out there is trying to get some online presence, and now is the time definitely to make it happen. You have the time, there's loads of resources there. People are offering free services. People are even given, like, they're cutting down the cost of services to help people to get online. Even Facebook training, I'm going to even try and do it like virtually from my office in the GTech on Saturday. And if it goes well, then I will start advertising it. If it goes well, that I can do like what I used to do from the classroom day, I'm going to do it say virtually through Zoom and other online resources that to help people to how to market their product. So definitely keep your brand awareness up and plan for your future. Build an email list. If you have a service and you don't have a product to sell, but you have a service type industry, again, you can go on Facebook, do some ads, collect email addresses, and keep your brand awareness up through that kind of a way. And upskill. Definitely would upskill. Learn Facebook marketing. Learn how to maintain your website, and just get online. Back to Brenda.
That's great, Laura. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's important to use this time productively, and certainly across the Skillnet network, we have we can source and fund those trainings to provide that upskilling and assistance to businesses. So keep the information relevant to the resources that businesses have available to them. And Michelle, now if I could go to you finally, and some top tips for businesses in today and for today and going into the future.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose the one thing, probably to reiterate what everybody else is saying, there are lots of supports available. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Go out, have a look. Quite a lot of businesses have put a number of free supports available, and also there are other supports available as well. Similar to the comments of the others, I would definitely to say, stay positive. We will get through this. Plan for your reopening if you have had to temporarily close. And also probably as part of that, maybe have a think of your succession planning. Who are the staff that have stepped up and had to help out? Those who've had to change shift work and you've had to have new supervision. Also, I think remote working at the end of this might become more of a reality for individuals. So test it, see how it's working, have a look at your business model, see can it be adjusted, have a look at the other source of income, as Laura has said, from selling online. And definitely, I think communication with staff with staff, but also with the public through your brand awareness, through being available on social media. And also at the moment, people do have time on their hands. So if other businesses are looking for help, see can you volunteer, see can you help them out as well. And I suppose, knowing me, I won't leave a webinar similar like this without saying, don't forget the paperwork. All of the things that you had no time to do when you were so busy running your business, now is the time to read your policies, update your policies. If you never got around to finalising all those GDPR steps, now you have time on your hands to do them now. So use your time, stay calm, stay positive. We will all come out of this. And if you do have cash flow and you have money available, to reiterate what Chris has said, spend, support each other so that we can keep the economy going. Because the worst thing that can happen at the moment is everybody stops spending. That means then all of us will be in difficulty. So stay positive, stay calm, mind yourself, support one another as best we can. And definitely, if anybody needs any assistance, feel free to reach out to me. Back to you, Brenda.
That's great, Michelle. Thank you very much. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody on our panel, Chris, Paula, Laura and Michelle. I hope we have done something to address the fears, I suppose, that some of our businesses have been feeling of late. And I suppose the biggest thing that I think we're seeing is that, there is support there. We are all willing to help each other. And thank you as well to Poca Productions for facilitating us all online. And it is really heartening to see the community support that has developed. We're certainly seeing a lot of, we'll say, sporting organisations that are stepping up to the mark. They're assisting businesses in their deliveries and stocking shelves. And we're seeing new businesses. They are innovating. They're coming up with new ideas to stay viable. It's great to read about the distilleries who are now making the much needed sanitizers. And, recently here we saw how O'Neill's Sports had closed their doors and now have reopened to support making the scrubs and stuff that our frontline staff really need. Restaurants are delivering food, and, we're all pulling together. And I think it says a lot about us, and it certainly says a lot. It should say a lot to the business community that we are here, we see the struggle, and the people around you want you to open your doors again, and that the support will be there. So I would ask that those businesses take this advice on board. The panel have offered that their doors are opened, communicate and listen to what's being said, talk to the relevant authorities, talk to your employees, keep your online presence. And, I, with my other Skillnet colleagues, we are open for business. Contact us. We are here to support you. And like we're hearing, and on a daily basis, this will pass. And I suppose we will come out stronger, and we will come out stronger together. So as my colleague there recently said.
It's Paula. I'm so sorry to cut across you. I just remembered there's just one thing I would add. Specifically, there is a business continuity voucher, which is a brand new voucher. Full details are not yet available, but this is something to be applied for via your Leo. And it really is geared towards micro businesses, and it's going to be 100% funded. There are other vouchers that you have to put up some of the money yourself. This is not the case with this one. And the mentoring with the Leo is the other one. So if as Michelle said, some people have no cash flow, go. That's
Yes.
my advice. That's first port of call. Sorry
Okay.
for cutting across.
Not at all. Look, if we want to get the information out there and we want to help as many businesses as possible, and we will put up as many links as we can following this. And for those of you late coming to the broadcast, we will put the recording up across all our platforms, so you will be able to go back on some of this information as you might require it. So look, just to close, and again to thank Coca Productions, that's Camilla and Kieran, and to thank our panel. And to close, just I suppose I like my former colleague put up this post the other day, and I thought it was really relevant, so I'm going to finish on this. The world may be closing down, but let's keep our minds open and stay safe and keep the doors open. Thank you.